Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope everything is good and great and wonderful, and I hope that you're happy. You know, it's been a few months now. We've all been sitting at home. Hope everything's good. By the way, the garage door is open today, so there might be some outside noise coming through. But I'm excited to be... I published the last article, not the last article. Okay, let's back up. The weapon generator routine that I've been working on for the website No Rogues Allowed is done, and I published the last article about the weapon generator today. It's not the last article about No Rogues Allowed. If you're not aware, I'm working on a super light rogue-like game, and that is a game where you basically go into a dungeon and you go through levels in a dungeon until you die, and then you have to restart. You lose everything and you restart. There's no saving. And I thought that'd be a fun experiment in PHP because it's, in general, is a turn-based game. So I don't need to have any elements that I'm tracking, in real time. I can do everything. As soon as you take an action, I calculate everything else and return the results. And because I'm keeping it, it's going to be the lightest possible game, meaning there's not going to be a map, there's not going to be movement, there's not going to be, dodging, or there's going to be very little to the actual gameplay. The core aspect of the game is gathering loot. And because of that, I've been spending a whole lot of time on the loot generator. And I started with the weapon generator. And I published that website 2 weeks ago and put up the first article, and at that time it was just a basic weapon generator, and since then I've added more abilities to it, and I finished up that routine yesterday. And in this article I talk about how I've spent about 30 hours on this, and it's actually very, if you go look at it, there's very little to show for 30 hours. And that's because I'm not using a framework. That's because I'm not using a templating engine or a database management engine. I'm just doing it all in vanilla PHP with my own fingers. And I've been able to use a whole lot of structure from previous projects. I tend to kind of follow the same sort of how pages get initialized, how database gets initialized, all that stuff. And build my pages with my own templates. And so I've been doing all of that, been using all of that, but a lot of it has been just based on, it takes quite a few hours to make a page look good. And then you have to make the page look responsively good. So on a smaller screen it has to look good. That's not easy. So I spent a lot of time doing that. The weapon creation part, it's only like less than 100 lines of code. Probably 50. I don't know. It's not a lot. It's a small routine. But it does a whole lot of stepping through a procedure. Are we going to get an element, flaming, shocking, whatever? Are we going to get a prefix like gold or silver or gilded, or what the weapon is going to be? And I wanted to be able to granularize a lot of that. So me as the game designer, I can say you're fighting this snow giant, and this snow giant is going to drop a freezing club, and the generator would generate a freezing club. And so that's the last little bit that I've been working on, was that, and I published it. And instead of, previously I've just been kind of showing bits and pieces of the code, this time I published the whole routine and all of its ugliness. It is bad. And that's what I really wanted to say today, was if you're a developer, and if you know, you don't need to necessarily know PHP. The code is pretty agnostic, language agnostic. I try really hard to write readable code. And that means sometimes it's bloated because I put in a lot of comments, or I intentionally duplicate code just so the person who's reading it for the first time can step through it and go, oh, okay, and they don't have to keep referencing other files or weird places to try to figure out what's going on because I hid functions over here. They kind of just step through it and go, all right, that makes sense. But, it could also probably be optimized. I could probably clean up, especially the weapon elements section. I don't like the way the weapon elements section works. It works a little differently than all the other sections because it is a little different. And I'd like to figure out a way to clean it up. So if you're a developer and you want to go look at it, The entire routine is published on my website. It's in the 6th article in the roguelike series. And I am hosting it on GitHub. It's currently set to private because I'm not ready to share the code with the world. Not that anybody would ever go find it and try to do something with it. It's just not quite to the point yet where I'm ready to open it up for public consumption. But if you are a developer and you want to take a look at my code, I can give you access to my GitHub and you can go look at it and give me feedback. The thing that I want to do in the future that I haven't started on now, this weapon generator was just part one of a whole bunch of random generators. I need to create one for armor, I need to create one for shields, and I need to create one for magical doodads. And those things, those 4 things have very different properties. And but the core ideas, how I generate, the random numbers, the attribute getting, all of that stuff, the core part of all of that is the same-ish. With exceptions, obviously. And so I can reuse a lot of that code. But right now, it's all just procedural. It's all just step through, check to make sure inputs are okay, call this function steps through, calls this other function, does that a few times, returns a thing, and then I can put it out on the screen. And I would like to figure out a way to convert it to be a little bit more functional because I'm learning functional right now. I've never studied functional design, but I'm really interested in it, and I'm positive there's aspects of this that could be turned into a more functional design pattern. So if you know functional programming and you're willing to look at it, please take a look and let me know what you think. Tell me if it's garbage. It is garbage. I know it is. It works. I mean, it's clean. It's good code. It does what it's supposed to do. It's not hackable, and it is hackable. If there's some fine print, if you want to play with it, you can hack the GET request and have fun with it. But I mean, it's not hackable in a way that you can't break it. I don't know of any bugs in there that you could escape the routine and do something that it's not supposed to do. So if you find something, let me know. But I'm pretty confident it's not hackable. Feel free, though, to look at it, give me feedback, and if you want to help me work on it, we could figure something out. I don't have a design directive yet, so it'd be very hard to take on somebody and say, all right, I want to do this. But if you're interested, let me know. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Today's word you should know is aver. It is a verb meaning to assert the truthfulness of a statement. Has she no faults, then? Envy says, Sir, yes, she has one, I must aver. When all the world conspires to praise her, the woman's deaf and does not hear. Alexander Pope, a British poet. Aver. A-V-E-R.